Hi, welcome to the Word of the Week. This week's word is courage. Now, we had just done a 5-week series on the concepts of Wu De in action. Now we're going to do the 5 concepts of Wu De in thought, or in the state of mind. And courage is the first one. To be an outstanding martial artist has always taken a great deal of courage. In the old days, the training was dangerous. It was difficult. It was painful at times. And once you reach a level of skill, you were called upon to use that skill either in the military, which is where Wu martial comes from, martial meaning military, fighting arts, but also because a lot of martial arts were used and developed as ways of protecting villages. So you had a responsibility for your townspeople to protect them from bandits and from the hordes coming in to pillage the villages. Martial arts also used as bodyguards to protect people and people's possessions. So to be a martial artist in the traditional sense always meant putting yourself in harm's way. And that takes courage, because courage by definition is mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Now, we don't use martial arts training anymore to that extent. Do some people? Absolutely. There's certainly people in our military, people that are in our law enforcement, are dealing and have to use martial arts skills in that day-to-day reality, life or death situation. Most of us practice martial arts now mostly for our personal development, for becoming more healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? So it's about developing ourselves into the best we can be. And that takes courage. You see, the thing that holds most of us back is the opposite of courage. It's fear. We don't like the unknown. We're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid to take chances. We're afraid of difficult situations. We don't want to take risks. But what I can tell you is that if you never have the courage to take a risk, that you limit yourself. You become frozen by fear. Is fear a bad thing? No. Fear is actually a good thing. Fear is something that we have as part of us, which is our warning mechanism. It wants to let us know that there is danger. It wants to let us know that there is risk involved. But it's to let us know. Then we have to decide whether it's worth the effort to go forward, to venture forward. So when we have fear, we all have fear of failure. Everybody does. But the martial arts mindset, the Wu De mindset, is that while I know that I may fail, I choose to move forward. I have the courage to take that chance, to take a risk, because you never know what's going to happen unless you try it. So one of the things that I'd like to encourage people to do is to think about what area in your life are you being held back by fear, where you're afraid to venture forward, when you're afraid to take a chance. And then ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen? Martial artists used to do this all the time. The samurai used to, before going into battle, imagine every possible way that they could be killed in battle. So then they faced that fear. They faced the unknown. And once they faced it and they've accepted it, then they could go into battle. For us, most of our decisions are not life or death. In our class, I ask people a lot of times, what's the worst thing can happen if you take your belt test? What's the worst thing can happen if you try to do this form without me leading you? Usually, nothing. You mess up. And then what's the worst thing that's going to happen from that? Well, you might feel embarrassed. Well, those are all feelings. Those are not life or death things. So a lot of times the decisions we make, when we start thinking about it, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And if that happens, then what? If we look at it from that way, a lot of times it will give us the courage to step forward, to take that chance, because you're never going to be able to improve unless you're willing to take some chances. Fear is what nature has given us as a gift to help us to stay alive. Right? Prevents us from getting into those too risky situations. Courage is what gives us the ability to truly live. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. Hope to see you next week.